Urgent Dallas Cowboys fans, do not miss this. What just happened? You won't believe this one. But before we reveal the big news, make sure to subscribe to the channel because here we bring you daily videos with the latest Dallas Cowboys updates. And to not miss anything, activate the notifications. Hey Cowboys Nation. Today we've got a story that is as shocking as it is deeply troubling, especially for those of us who bleed azul and silver. It's one of those moments that make you sit back, scratch your head and ask, what in the world is going on with our defense? If you've been following the Cowboys this season, you know that it's been a roller coaster, but what happened in the latest game against the Los Angeles Chargers took it to a whole new level. Justin Herbert, one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league, looked as comfortable as he wanted to be, slicing through our defense like a hot knife through butter. And yes, this wasn't just a normal game. It was a wake-up call that exposes some of the deepest issues this team has faced all year. Now, what makes this story even more astonishing is the context behind it. The Cowboys, historically known for their formidable defense, have been struggling mightily this season at getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. It's an anomaly, really, considering the talent and the talent evaluation that Jerry Jones has always boasted about. But this game against Herbert was a stark reminder that the Cowboys' defensive front is not what it used to be. Herbert, who completed 79.3% of his passes, had his highest completion rate of the entire season against Dallas. That's not just a bad day. That's a systemic failure, a sign of a defense that's lost its edge, and one that seems to be unraveling right before our eyes. It's almost poetic, if it weren't so painful, to see a quarterback like Herbert, known for his mobility and arm strength, pick apart our secondary with such ease. The numbers tell the story perfectly. Herbert was never sacked in this game, marking a staggering 358 days since he last went down during a game. For a quarterback of his caliber, that's almost unheard of. Anyone who's watched him since his days at Oregon knows that Herbert isn't the type to be taken down easily. He's elusive, smart, and possesses an arm that can make every throw on the field. But what's truly baffling is that our defense, which has been struggling to generate pressure all season long, had a prime chance to add to that historic stat and simply couldn't. Now, let's dig a little deeper into why this is such a disaster. The Chargers' offensive line has been banged up since the start of the season. They lost their star left tackle Rashawn Slater before the season even began, a torn patellar tendon that sidelined him indefinitely. Then their right tackle Joe Alt suffered a season-ending ankle injury in November. So theoretically, this should have been a golden opportunity for our pass rush, an easy chance to get after Herbert and disrupt his rhythm. But no. The Cowboys, despite having some talented pass rushers like Micah Parsons, who was sidelined in this game, couldn't muster any meaningful pressure, and that's a huge problem. The absence of Micah Parsons is often cited as a reason for the lack of pressure, and while that's true, it doesn't entirely explain the failure. Every other team that has faced the Chargers' makeshift offensive line has managed to get at least some pressure, some sacks, some hits on Herbert. But Dallas, they couldn't even register a single sack. That's not just a bad day, it's a symptom of a deeper, more troubling issue within the defense. What's even more alarming is that this isn't just about talent. This is about scheme, execution, and perhaps even motivation. When your defense can't take down a quarterback who's been sacked only once in the last 358 days, it's a clear sign that something's broken. Let's remember that the Cowboys' defense under Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn has historically been a strength, a hallmark of the team's identity. But this season, that identity has been under siege. The lack of pressure allows quarterbacks like Herbert to sit comfortably in the pocket, read the field, and find open receivers with ease. That's exactly what happened Sunday, and it's been happening all season against various opponents. The stats are grim. The Cowboys have been one of the lowest teams in generating sacks and quarterback hits. It's a pattern that's been building since week 1, and it's reached a breaking point. Now, shifting gears a little, let's consider the coaching and personnel decisions that have led to this point. Head coach Mike McCarthy and defensive coordinator Dan Quinn have built a reputation for aggressive, attacking defenses. But this season, that aggression has been missing, replaced by a passive approach that allows opponents to pick our secondary apart. The absence of Parsons certainly hurts, but the defense's struggles go beyond just one player. Jadeveon Clowney and Donovan Ezeiruaku have shown flashes of promise, but it's not enough. These are good players, but they're not enough to compensate for the overall lack of pressure and the breakdowns in coverage that have become all too common. And then, of course, there's the elephant in the room, Jerry Jones. The owner's tone has shifted dramatically from earlier in the season, when he was praising Eberflus and expressing confidence that the coaching staff could turn things around. Now, the criticism has started to creep in. Some say that Jones's support for Eberflus was premature, that it came before the team had proven it could consistently perform at a high level. And with each passing game, that support looks more misplaced. Jones, who once talked about wanting to be in the foxhole with Eberflus, now faces questions about whether that was a mistake. The season is effectively lost, and the decision to retain Eberflus has become a contentious issue among fans and analysts alike. But what does this mean for the immediate future? Can the Cowboys turn things around? Will they make adjustments on defense? Or is this just a sign that the team's window is closing, at least in terms of Super Bowl contention? The next few weeks are crucial. They face tough opponents, and the defense's inability to pressure the quarterback could be a recurring theme. The upcoming games will test whether this team can find solutions quickly or if this is a sign of a deeper, more systemic problem that might take years to fix. Going deeper into the statistics, it's worth noting that this isn't just a one-game anomaly. The Cowboys' defense has been near the bottom of the league in sacks and quarterback hits all season. Their inability to generate consistent pressure has been a major factor in the team's overall struggles. Opposing quarterbacks have had plenty of time to find their targets, and the secondary has sometimes looked lost, overwhelmed by the pace and precision of NFL offenses. And with Herbert's completion percentage soaring against Dallas, it's clear that the secondary has also been exposed, unable to keep up with the skill and timing of the Chargers' receivers. This brings us to a broader discussion about the team's defensive identity. Historically, Dallas has been known for a relentless pass rush. Think of the dominant defenses of the 90s or even recent years with Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. But this season, that identity seems to have dissipated. The lack of pressure isn't just a symptom, it's a cause. When quarterbacks like Herbert can comfortably sit in the pocket and pick you apart, it's a clear sign that the blueprint has to be reassessed. Do the Cowboys need to innovate schematically, or is it purely a personnel issue? Perhaps both. But one thing's certain, the defense needs a wake-up call, and fast. Now, let's compare this to other teams in the league. When you think of defenses that dominate, you think of teams like the 49ers or the Eagles, who consistently get pressure on the quarterback. They do this through a mix of talented pass rushers, disciplined schemes, and relentless effort. Dallas traditionally has been in that echelon, but this year they're miles away. The absence of Parsons is felt deeply, but other teams have managed to compensate for injuries and still maintain pressure. The Chargers' offensive line, despite injuries, still gave Herbert enough time to dissect Dallas's secondary. That's a testament to how far the Cowboys are from their usual defensive standards. Furthermore, the impact of this game extends beyond just one loss. It's a signal that the Cowboys' season, which might have seemed salvageable a few weeks ago, is now hanging in the balance. The team's chances of making the playoffs could be severely impacted if this defensive trend continues. The NFC East, while still competitive, is not as daunting as in past years, but every game counts, and losing to teams that are perceived as middle of the pack or even weaker in certain aspects puts playoff seeding and home field advantage in jeopardy. Let's not forget the fans' reactions. Social media has been ablaze with frustration, disappointment, and sometimes anger. Cowboys fans are passionate, and when the defense underperforms like this, the criticism is fierce. Many are questioning the coaching decisions, the personnel choices, and even Jerry Jones's support for Eberflus. It's a toxic mix of hope and despair, typical of a fan base that has seen so many ups and downs over the years. Some are calling for a major shakeup, demanding changes in the defensive coaching staff or even personnel. Others are more patient, hoping that a few adjustments and a return to aggressive play can salvage the season. But the truth is, the window for hope is closing fast if the defensive issues aren't addressed immediately. Looking ahead, the future of the Cowboys' defense depends on several factors. Will they make strategic adjustments? Can they get Micah Parsons back to his usual game-wrecking form? Will they find a way to generate pressure without their top pass rusher? And what about the secondary? Are there internal solutions or even trade possibilities that could bolster the unit? These are questions that fans and analysts alike are asking daily, and the answers will shape the remainder of the season. Meanwhile, the coaching staff faces intense scrutiny. Defensive coordinator Dan Quinn has been praised in the past for his scheming, but this year his unit has been underwhelming. Is it scheme? Is it effort? Or is it simply a lack of talent and depth? And what about the front office? Jerry Jones's support for Eberflus might be waning, but will they make bold moves to fix the problem, or will they stick with what they have and hope for the best? These are the decisions that could define the franchise's future. In conclusion, this game against the Chargers and the performance of the defense is a sobering reminder that, in the NFL, nothing is guaranteed. Talent alone isn't enough. Execution, scheme, effort, and coaching are equally vital. The Cowboys are at a crossroads. They have the talent, the history, and the fan base to be great. But if they don't fix these glaring issues, the season could slip away faster than anyone expected. So, buckle up, Cowboys Nation, because what comes next could be the most critical stretch of the season. Will they turn it around? Or are we witnessing the beginning of a long, frustrating rebuild? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, this story isn't over yet. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Dallas Cowboys news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and IT makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let's continue with the big reveal. Now, as we look ahead, the big question is, what can the Cowboys do to fix this defensive crisis? Well, first off, it's clear that personnel adjustments might be necessary. The absence of Micah Parsons has exposed a lack of depth and pass-rushing options that can step up when he's not on the field. Jadeveon Clowney has shown flashes, but consistency remains elusive. The interior line and linebacker core need to step up, perhaps even with some strategic trades or free agent signings if possible. But beyond personnel, scheme adjustments are crucial. Perhaps shifting to more aggressive blitz packages or zone schemes to confuse quarterbacks like Herbert could change the narrative. However, that's a risky move, especially with secondary players who have been overwhelmed this season. It's a delicate balance between pressure and coverage, and right now the Cowboys are failing at both. Let's also consider the mental and emotional toll this has on the team. A defense that can't get off the field or put pressure on the opponent quickly loses confidence. That ripple effect impacts the whole team, especially the offense, which might be forced into longer third-down situations or turnovers. The pressure on the coaching staff increases exponentially, and the players themselves are under immense scrutiny. The fact that Herbert was never sacked in this game is a symbol of the defense's failure to execute and impose their will. It's a wake-up call that, if ignored, could result in more losses and a season that ends prematurely. But it's not just about fixing the pass rush. It's about restoring the identity of the Cowboys' defense. Historically, this franchise has thrived on a tough, relentless approach. Think of the linebackers of the 90s or the pass rush of recent years. If they want to return to that level, it's time for a serious evaluation of what's missing. Is it effort, technique, discipline, or simply talent? The coaching staff needs to identify the gaps and make swift, decisive changes. Sometimes it's about motivation, getting the players to buy into a new approach or scheme. Other times, it's about bringing in fresh faces who can make an immediate impact. And what about the fans? They're the heart and soul of Dallas football. Many are already calling for major changes, demanding accountability from the coaching staff and front office. Some are calling for a change at defensive coordinator, while others are more patient, hoping that health, adjustments, and perhaps a bit of luck can turn things around. But one thing's for sure, the frustration is palpable, and the pressure on Jerry Jones to make the right decisions has never been higher. The owner's support for Eberflus now faces serious scrutiny, and some fans are even questioning whether the coaching hire was a mistake from the start. When we compare Dallas to other top-tier defenses in the league, the contrast couldn't be starker. The 49ers and Eagles, for example, consistently pressure the quarterback, force turnovers, and dominate the line of scrimmage. Dallas, on the other hand, has been a shadow of its former self, unable to create the chaos that once defined their defense. That's why this game against Herbert isn't just a blip. It's a symptom of a broader problem that needs urgent attention. If they don't act quickly, the season could slip away and the postseason dreams might become just that, dreams. Now, looking at the big picture, what does this mean for the future? Will the Cowboys be able to fix their defensive issues in time? Can they find a way to get pressure without Parsons? Will they reevaluate their defensive scheme or personnel? These are the questions fans and analysts will be dissecting in the coming weeks. There's a lot of work to do and the stakes are incredibly high. The NFL is a league of adjustments, and teams that fail to adapt often end up watching the playoffs from home. Dallas has the talent, but do they have the resolve? That's the million-dollar question. And finally, let's reflect for a moment. This season has been filled with ups and downs, but games like this remind us of the harsh realities of football at the highest level. Talent alone doesn't win championships. Execution, scheme, effort, and cohesion do. The Cowboys have a window of opportunity, but it's closing fast if they don't get this defense back on track. For all the history and tradition, it's clear that this team needs a wake-up call, and maybe, just maybe, they'll find it before it's too late. And now, Dallas Cowboys fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Dallas Cowboys. Do you think they can turn things around? Or are we witnessing the beginning of a difficult season that might end in disappointment? I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned, stay passionate, and keep supporting your team through thick and thin. Remember, football is more than just a game. It's a passion, a family, and a never-ending story. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Cowboys.